Whoa.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Real Talk. My name is Bryce Mitchell. I am the Sales and Marketing Assistant here at Pilbara Real Estate, and I am joined with my co-host and the Director of Pilbara Real Estate, Rob Slater. Say hello to the people, Rob.
G'day.
Here on Real Talk, we love to have a bit of fun and cover how the market has changed each month and really talk about some real estate news and aim to educate you in all areas of the industry, from sales to leasing and residential to commercial.
You said real talk. I thought you said grill talk.
Grill talk.
Grill talk.
That could be a segment.
Grill talk, like I'm going to get grilled. That's okay.
We could get you on the barbecue.
I'm a
even.
real estate agent. I get grilled every day with people's opinions.
Yeah, well, don't we all? So each episode we will also be responding to your comments and questions. So please subscribe for next episode and leave a comment below for your chance to be featured in the next video. Without further ado, let's get straight into this month in real estate. Here we talk about what has happened this month in the world of real estate with a few prepared topics that myself and Rob have talked about over the past month. So we'll start with the current state of the market. How has the sales market changed this month?
Look, we're continuing with a lot of sales. Like if you look on realestate.com, there's a lot more properties under contract. We've sold 2 properties this week, which has been good. Those 2 properties have been on the market for just over a month, so it seems to be that people are looking, and then a lot of the more desirable properties are getting snapped up, and then they're taking Plan B. So that's what seems to be happening at the case at the moment.
Yeah, okay. And so what about the rental and commercial market? Have they changed?
Rental's good. I was talking to Wendy, the leasing manager, the other day, and I said, look, it appears that rentals have jumped by about 5%.
There you go.
Okay. Commercial's still pretty strong. You know, I've got a lot of prospective tenants that are looking for stuff. You know, we've just re-signed a few leases as well with an increase. So look, commercial's good. Overall, the market's good. You know, there's a lot of focus here. There's a lot of people from over east and Perth, and a lot of investors and syndicates really sort of starting to come back. So it's healthy.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. That was really nice and concise, actually. That was really good. We'll start with something that I was actually having a look at online. Now, so REWA does they do a couple of different surveys, and one of them we'll take a look at is the REWA Housing Issues Survey. Now, the REWA Housing Issues Survey finds stamp duty a major barrier to home ownership. This was the big heading of this news story, but we've got a quote here. REWA CEO Kath Hart said REWA's Housing Issues Survey had received nearly 15,000 responses and particularly highlighted Western Australia's concerns about the impact of stamp duty. Can you tell us what stamp duty is?
Stamp duty is a state tax for when you purchase property, which is stupid because when the GST come in 2000, they were supposed to get rid of that. But at that time, in 2001, Jeff Gallop, the Labor encumbering premier, he actually put stamp duty up 98%, and his view was he wanted everyone with a house over $1 million to pay increased tax because, you know, he was the Robin Hood of the political world. But it wasn't the case. If they did that same tax now, probably 60% of properties in Perth would be paying this huge tax. So what happens with stamp duty, it's a state-based tax and it varies. Sometimes the government will back it off a little bit when there's a lot of pressure or there's not enough sales and they can see the market slowing, and then they'll change it. So it's a state tax that does vary between governments, and it is a barrier. You know, you've got to put roughly another 3% on top of the purchase price to buy something. Just to go to the state government. So it's just, I think it's an unfair tax personally, for everyone, for first home buyers, for like investors, because investors are, they're creating accommodation. So they help the housing but apparently they're the bad ones. And apparently there's lots of people with like 15, 16 properties.
Yeah.
I only know one or two like that. So
We hear that so often, that investors are the problem, but they're one of the biggest drivers in helping people get housing and all this.
investors are the hero of the economy. So this whole housing crisis is based on a shift of demographics, a lot less investors in the market and a lot less building. So the shift in demographics is people like your age and a little bit older moving out of home, buying property and renting. So that's a big demographic shift. And also there hasn't been enough building, and over the years the governments have kept screwing investors on Residential Tenancies Act, more land tax, all this other stuff. So property investing now is like, it's not for the faint-hearted. You know, before it used to be a lot of mums and dads were investing as a second property just to sort of get ahead. And now a lot of those people have just gone, you know what, it's not worth it. The tenant's done me over too many times. I'm sick of going to court. Magistrates leaning towards a tenant. All the Greens saying, like, let's have fixed, rent. Like, how about we have fixed mortgage payments? Like, come on. That's just ludicrous.
You did mention something in there about how it is a barrier, stamp duty, and we've actually got another quote here from the article where it says, more than 60% of the survey respondents agreed that stamp duty was a significant barrier to home ownership in Western Australia. And this doesn't just mean first home buyers. This affects everyone when we're talking about investors, but as well, I've got another one here. It impacts people downsizing. It impacts first home buyers particularly, but
60%. What are the other 40 saying? They just had no opinion.
Well, actually,
should be that. I'm surprised that's 60%. Let's have a look.
Hang
at
on.
the stats.
So 63. Do you consider stamp duty a significant barrier to downsizing? 15% of people said no. So that's for downsizing. 22% were neutral.
I would love to verify that
yeah.
data and call a couple of the no people and go, what? Why? And then neutral. These people just got this survey and they just tick things and they're busy doing other things. It's ridiculous. That should really be about 93%.
So if we're cutting out the 22%, like just the neutral people, I guess if they can't decide, don't do the survey. But there's still the majority of the people are saying yes. Out of 14,000 responses, look there, 14,000.
I wonder who they surveyed. I wonder if, it'd be interesting to see who they survey, because normally when the Institute does this sort of stuff, they go to the agents and then the agents survey their pool of buyers and landlords. So it'd be interesting to see where they see, and it could be you've got a 15-year-old in there saying no. You don't know.
Yeah, just to give it a bit of an example of what stamp duty is, how it's going to affect people. I've done a bit of an example here. If you were to buy a house for $500,000, you'd be paying $17,764.95 in stamp duty. That's not including any other fees you have to pay, all the other business. But it is bad. Like, we're not saying that it's not bad. But you mentioned your house that you bought in 2001. Now, how much did you buy that house for?
My first house in December 2003, I paid $222,000 and I paid $16,000 in stamp duty. And the whole idea at that time was, the federal government we were sort of just trying to stay out of a recession. So First Home Buyers Grant got introduced in 2001 by John Howard. That was pretty good, just accelerated a lot of things. So there was a lot of construction, building houses, a lot of transactions to keep Australia out of a recession. And then, so stamp duty as a first home buyer then, for me, was $16,000. And that was because you were getting a $16,000 federal government grant. So it was like, federal government gives you $16,000 and then it just goes straight to the state government. And I remember it was like, what a waste of time that was.
And so an interesting thing though is that even though if you're buying a $500,000 house and you're paying more like $18,000 in stamp duty, back then, the money that you paid, in today money, it would have been a $400,000 house and you would have paid almost $30,000 in stamp duty. So I don't know where you put it, because back then, if you look at the numbers, that's what it would have been. In today's money, that's what that is now.
Yeah, and that was
$30,000 in stamp duty. So I don't know.
Well, like I said, it changes with governments, and that government at that time was like right into, being a Robin Hood. Let's tax the rich, but like I was making 35 grand a year, working at Curtin University, and I struggled to get into that housing market, and that's when it was like 50% of my wage was going on the mortgage, and I got taxed heavily, 16 grand at the time.
So in another article I was reading. It was actually talking about how the Liberals were planning to lower stamp duty and Nationals were planning to abolish it completely. Just entirely.
Well, look,
which I thought was interesting.
It is a revenue raiser, so, it'd be very hard for the government to lose that income stream, because something else would have to get more taxed. So it's, unfortunately, it is a bit of the norm. I think, I think it will change again, if the Libs get in on the next election, maybe, depends on the economy at the time, maybe it might go down again.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a tax that is just, it does create barriers, and it's, especially when we're dealing with first home buyers and even a lot of repeat buyers, trade up buyers that are like, I'm capped at this. I've got stamp duty, I've got this, and this is all I can borrow. So I mean, if they didn't have that, or if it was lower, it wouldn't be an automatic 3% on top.
Moving on, I wanted to touch on the Walgoo developments. Now, if you don't know what the Walgoo developments are, well, it started in 2021. The city has advertised a business plan regarding a potential $65 million residential development on the vacant land adjacent to Redheath Arts Precinct. So it's going to include 82 apartments of varying sizes, plus 1,700 square metres of community and retail space, which has the potential to activate the Karratha CBD, says the City of Karratha website. Now, if this is it's still in plans by what I can see. They've marked out the area and things. If you do go onto the website, you can have a bit more of a better look at this. But from the images, it looks pretty cool. Now, I mean, this is a pretty big thing for those who just want temporary housing, or even just don't want a place that, has too much space. I think it's going to be really beneficial for businesses. I mean, instead of having to put people in houses, you could put them in a cheaper apartment.
Look, Pelago works, and it works well. And at the time, there was a lot of naysayers that it's not going to happen, but Pelago works well. Look, we've got, people that fly up on a Monday and fly back on a Friday, and it's another, it value adds onto the accommodation offering, because not everybody wants a 3x1 on a 700 square metre block, and they've got to mow lawns and stuff when they're working 12-hour days. So, and they are popular, especially if you get like a nurse or someone like that coming up for a 2-year stint that doesn't know anyone and needs some safety. That's perfect, So Pelago's popular because what makes Pelago popular? Being central, but the convenience to be able to walk out, get a coffee, get something to eat, and not leave that group.
Yeah, okay.
Where apartments don't work well is when they're in the suburbs, and it's just an apartment. You walk out, and you still got to jump in your car and drive for a coffee. So
yeah, I like how there's going to be the retail space below. I mean, you can obviously see on the pictures again if you head to the website there. But we were talking about the benefit to rates with this. So obviously, being owned by the City of Karratha, they're going to make money off of it. I suppose with things like management and all these things, they won't make too much of the total amount of rent that someone might be paying. But how might that benefit the rates?
Well, look, if the Shire can get an income stream, I think that's a good thing, because it means it's going to hedge against our rates continuing going up. Like our rates in Karratha are like double what they are in Perth. And, there's a lot of people that are saying, the Shire shouldn't get involved in development. But look, if they can get the land and grants and all this stuff fairly cheap at a better deal, piece it together and then they're getting income. Like we did some calculations. Let's say they make $7.5 million in rent on that. I mean, that's good because that means there's more money going into the Shire. So our rates don't keep going up 3%, 3%, 3%. You want our rates to be a lot more flatter because we pay a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
So it's an investment decision. I'm all for if they can get more income, but not from the ratepayers.
Yeah.
So if they do an investment decision and it helps them meet their budget and expenses without pushing it onto the ratepayers, it's a no-brainer.
I do recommend anyone who is actually interested in the Wildgood developments to do check out the City of Karratha website. There's actually a lot of information, in particular the business plan and all these things. There's a lot in there. One of the things in particular is they talked about how much money they think they might make on it. And from memory, an unfurnished, if they were all unfurnished, it was something like $98 million in...
Over a 10-year period, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Which is very good. We can't say that rates will go down. We can't say that, but I suppose we can say that it might remain a bit more steady.
It'd be nice.
Yeah,
It'd be
definitely.
nice. But like there was a shire in I think the city of Coburn. The shire rates went up like 98%, and you know the ratepayers were pretty upset about that, which is understandable. But
100%.
But if they're not, if they don't not having the income stream, there's only one other way. It's just increasing the rates across the board.
Yeah, City of Karratha does talk about this a little bit in their last budget newsletter. So this was for last year, I suppose. And they talk about how the quarter, the buildings in the centre of Karratha, the quarter provides them with profits and is keeping the rates down, which I suppose would be partly true, but it still increased 3.5% from last year. Mm-hmm. So we are still seeing an increase. It's hard for us to say that it's not going to
3.5 is better than 98.
3.5 is better than 98.
If we had 98, that'd break people.
Yeah.
You know, people
would break this town.
People would be paying $6.5, $7,000 in rates, which is obscene. I'd rather go drive on dirt roads and
we'll happily drive on dirt
septic tank in and go off the grid.
Yeah, live out in the bush. While I was looking into the Wildgood developments, I came across WA's build to rent land tax exemption, which I thought was kind of cool. So the whole premise is a 50% exemption from land tax for properties built between 2022 and 2032 for up to 20 years. The buildings have to have at least 40 dwellings and be owned and managed by the same group or persons. When we're talking about sort of building more homes to combat this housing crisis, I think this would be beneficial for that. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, how many people own 40 self-contained dwellings? How many?
Well, I don't know any, so do you know any?
I don't know, maybe we should ask the Greens. They seem to have all the answers.
You sure get very political on this podcast, Rob.
Cut to the chase, that's it. You know, it's the facts are the facts, that's it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's cool, but I do definitely agree with you. I don't know how beneficial
40 dwellings? Like, that's just... You know who owns 40 dwellings? Like entities, like major people. And so it's not going to it's not going to excite anyone, really. So you should actually do that just for land tax for people that want to rent out their investment property. That would be good. That would be a little bit more incentive.
Yeah, okay.
40 dwellings, that's just... I think that target is...
it's pretty high. It's interesting, because then technically the Wildgood developments would be classed, they would be under that. I mean, I don't know how that works because they're a government body. I don't really know, but I'd imagine that most of it would be owned by corporations or entities, or I don't think it really works. It does say if it's managed by the same person or group of persons, so maybe, I guess if you are
a group would be a property syndicate. But the thing is, property syndicates invest in commercial property, not residential, generally.
Yeah.
Generally. And and certainly not regional. So
No, I don't see that it'll have much of an effect on us.
no,
Unfortunately.
I mean the principle's good, just the guidelines are a little bit steep.
I wanted to ask you something. We did touch on this in this week. This was actually your idea, but why are all real estate agents award winners? The reason I sort of do mention this is because myself and our new work placement student we've got in Lily went to. Oh, I'm gonna have to beep that out. Actually, we probably shouldn't say who it is. But we went to. And we went to Gladstone Keys, and we noticed that there were a couple of awards on right in the front of their reception desk, and it's top 10 sales rep and whatnot, and then you see their logo at the bottom, and does it mean anything? Why does everyone seem to be award winners? I mean, you're no exception. I mean, I'm sitting next to a bunch of awards. There's more outside.
Well, look, because you're doing transactions, it's measurable. So there are a lot of awards that are the highest selling, the highest highest value, highest volume, top team. So there's a lot of different awards, but the only one that matters is REWA, because REWA is essentially it's the state awards. So everything in REWA, that's like if you come number one in REWA, you're number one in the state. And then there's a lot of real estates that are franchise groups. You might become number one in a franchise group, but you've only got 2 or 3 other offices, so the pool of competition is not that great. So REWA are the only one that, in my opinion, that is the true test of what matters. But the thing is with real estate is it's an achievement. Like we get hassled and, we're dealing with a lot of conflict, dealing with a lot of tough situations. It's nice to have a nice reward at the end, like top selling agent. You've given up a lot of your life, a lot of weekends, missed a lot of barbecues. You want to have an accolade for that.
Yeah, 100%.
But, and that's what people do. Part of real estate as well is a lot of it's got a lot of puffery. The best selling agent, the best of what, so really... it's part of the industry and what they do. Look at the REWA, that's the only one that matters.
And we've got a couple over there.
Yeah, we did. We had 1 year which we did come number one. Everyone else was doing really bad. So
yay for us.
No, we worked hard. I think I had only about a handful of days off that year.
Wow.
And that was tough. Young kids and doing stuff on Sundays and most nights during the week. So
you did it.
Yeah, but it was nice to actually achieve that.
Yeah.
And then when we went and got the REWA awards, it was like, wow, all that hard work paid off. So it's a personal thing. Like you're in a running race. My daughter's T-ball team, we tried to get number one. We come third. But that was all right. But, a medal would have been awesome.
We'll jump to our next segment, which is Hot on the Spot now. I've got a couple of questions here that we haven't discussed, Rob doesn't know about them. We'll jump right in. Now, I wanted to ask you this, regardless of cost, if you can add one outrageous feature to your dream home, what would it be? Just anything crazy, regardless of how much money it would cost. Just one thing you could add to your home.
Really? Okay. I would like to step into a shower and the whole wall is a fish tank.
That's pretty cool, I suppose. That's really funny you say that because mine's very similar to that as well, actually.
One of my mates that I used to work with at Curtin University years ago, he came up with that idea, and this was like
that's kind of cool.
This was like 2000. He said, but his idea was actually step into the shower and the whole thing is a fish tank. So
I don't know if that would work. So you have a fish tank like on the wall of the
Instead
shower.
of going in, you've got 3 walls and a glass door. How about 2 walls and a fish tank?
That's
and you can just look at look at the fish, have a shower.
That's really funny you say that because I was going to answer the question as well. I saw this image on Instagram a long time ago. It's so funny you say something about the shower. That's what I'd have. It's a beer fridge in the shower.
Beer fridge.
In the shower.
Geez, you almost need a urinal as well.
Just right next to it. There's a spot there as well. Isn't that awesome? Popped up on my Instagram again.
That's fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think we all need that.
Looks like the ibis, isn't it? Is that? No, I'm only joking.
Wish. I will move on. What's the best way to add value to a property without breaking the bank?
Doing it yourself. Like paint. Paint's easy. You know, you can paint. You can do landscape. Gardening's easy. You just pretty much dig a hole and put water on most plants, and they will go good. So, paint and garden. You can do that yourself, and it's not hard.
Yeah.
Those are the first things you can do.
I suppose just with painting, just watch a couple of YouTube videos
know,
and
like,
you'll be set.
Well, it's
I mean, not that I've painted anything, but
it's not hard. And then little things like maybe changing out the knobs of your on your kitchen drawer. You know, instead of having like plastic white, you know, pull them out, put some brushed aluminium, something. Just a couple of little things like that. So
yeah, okay.
and just
little things.
All that information's out there. You know, there's a lot of shows as well, like Block and that, and but paint and garden are easy. You can do them yourself.
Yeah. One last one. What do you think makes you different from other agents?
Telling it how it is. You look at our reviews, and that verifies that. Okay, good communicator, honest, mainly honest, and that's I'll tell people where I see the market. Unfortunately, in this industry, there's a lot of people that will overquote to get the job, and then start telling the seller how bad things are, so they drop the price. By the time the seller's sold everything, they've had such a bad experience, and all the real estate agents are bad. I tell it how it is, and that's good. And then, you know, if another agent comes in afterwards and, we'll get this. But, you know, if I've just sold one very similar, and, you know, I've got the credibility.
It's just that honesty you're sort of saying. Just, you know, this is what you think you could get, but this is what you will get.
Yeah, look, and that's it. Our job is to get the most of the market, and also to give, you know, the seller the least amount of headaches. And just be informative and, you know, realistic to the buyer as well. Just so it's a win-win for all. Yeah. You know, you're not going backwards and forwards and trying to screw everyone, and then, you know, just, you know, trying to hype things by telling them, there's no one else, and, you know, just, yeah. So straight shooter, no nonsense.
That was good. That was a good answer.
Well, it was funny. Like when I got into the real estate in 2004, John Blackburn's been in the game since '68. He just said, just whatever you do, don't lie, and that was it. And also full disclosure. You know, like if there's any issues, deal with it, and you deal with it then and there, rather than sort of the last minute try to sleep. And he said to me, he said, look, if you do start, you know, BSing, you'll get caught out. Yeah. You know. So just tell it how it is, and that's what I am personally. You know, I try to put those sort of values into my kids as well. Manners, be honest, be a good person. So that's where it is. But we're challenged when there's other agents that will do things to get the listing.
It gives everyone a bad rep, I think, is the biggest thing. When you do see people or other agents doing anything for a listing, pushing buyers, pushing sellers, it's frustrating because it puts a bad rep on all of us.
Yeah, it's like car salesmen, but it happens because the level of entry to get into real estate is quite easy. You know, you just do a REWA course, you get that, you go work for a licensee or an agency, and you pretty much go for it. And you've got a lot of opportunities dealing with people, and you know, people are in stressful or emotional positions, and you know, you need to work with that very, very gently, and not do the opposite.
Well, I'd just like to thank everyone for watching. We really want to thank you all just for all the love that we got in the last episode. Heaps of people watched it. It was awesome. And I hope you guys stick around. If you are new here, please subscribe to us here on YouTube. Follow us on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. All the links are below. Please comment any questions you have on Facebook, Instagram, or right here on YouTube for your chance to be featured in the next video. And thanks for a real talk, Rob.
That's all right. Thank you.
Awesome.